Hokage Tower, Hokage's office. Hiruzen stood on the lookout point at the top of the tower with Naruto standing behind him. He knew the boy was there. Naruto had been standing there for at least 5 minutes, probably trying to correctly word what he wanted to say. Hiruzen could tell from Naruto's lack of a boisterous greeting that it was important, so he hadn't goaded him into speaking. "Old man," Naruto finally said. His voice was rather low, showing the brevity of whatever it was he wanted to speak about. Naruto swallowed down a lump in his throat and finally raised his voice close to his normal timbre. "I've read some things recently, and I know that my name is from a clan that was supposed to be pretty famous. The book told me lots of stuff, about how they're the best at sealing jutsu, and what the crystal on the back of my clothes meant. So, I just want to know 2 things now." Hiruzen turned around to face Naruto, showing the boy that he was taking his question seriously. "Alright, go ahead and ask away, Naruto-kun. I'll answer what I can." Naruto nodded and began to fire away. "Are there any more of them left, or is it just like what Shikamaru said? The part saying the clan is extinct?" Hiruzen let out a sigh as he answered. "It is true. It happened long, long ago. Any of them that may be left are scattered to the corners of the world, and none of that bloodline claim the surname Uzumaki any longer. I'm sorry." "Huh," Naruto said, as he had expected that much from the whole they're extinct thing. "Well, that sucks." Hearing Naruto's blunt summary of his clan's current state actually put a small smile on Hiruzen's face. "Yes, it does, I would imagine. I have worked with members of your clan in the distant past, and I can certainly tell you that the book you read was accurate. They were fearsome fighters, energetic, much like you, but not nearly as much so," he said with a chuckle. "And they were just as good at sealing ninjutsu as you were informed. It eventually led to their downfall in the end. Having a village spearheaded by masters of such complex techniques led to their enemies teaming up to eventually destroy them in the end. I'm afraid all their possessions were lost with them, so there's nothing I can hand down to you in that respect." Naruto waved it off. He didn't care much for anything material at all. "Don't sweat it. I've dealt without for this long back when I didn't know anything. It doesn't matter now, right? I'll make my own clan stuff." He scratched the back of his head and laughed uncomfortably as he asked his next question. "If you know anything about my family, anything worth telling me, like about my mom or dad, could you tell me?" "Well, now that he knows his clan was famous and extinct, it isn't so far-fetched to believe that someone would know who his parents were. I mean, how many people named Uzumaki existed in this village? He had to come from somewhere, and someone wouldn't know of that name," the old Kage thought as he was struck with something else. "Well, he's telling Naruto about what's within him, so he can tell him this too. I'll tell you what, Naruto. There's a man that you'll find in this village at some point. He's a big, tall man with long, wild, white hair, and he wears wooden sandals. He's a pretty flamboyant person. You can't miss him." "How will I find him?" Naruto wondered, excited at possibly meeting someone who could tell him about his parents. "I mean, finding one guy is hard when I've never met them, and the only person with white hair that I know is Kakashi-sensei." Hiruzen let out a chuckle as he put a hand on Naruto's head. "Trust me, Naruto-kun, he won't be that hard for you to find at all. He'll probably drop right into your lap. I hope this helped, and when you do talk to Jiraiya, I want you to know you can come to me, and I'll try and fill in whatever you couldn't." Naruto nodded and smirked before making the ram seal and vanishing in a puff of smoke. He is just as fast as Kakashi and Asuma said he was." Days later, Team 10 training ground. It had been a few days since Naruto's meeting with Hiruzen over his desire to bring his clan back to prominence. Time was winding down and preparations were coming to a close with training time for the Chunin Exams that will be taking place in the Land of Iron. Any Jonin Tensei in the leaf worth their salt was making sure their Genin squads that intended on participating were up to snuff for the Harrowing Challenge, including the Jonin Sensei of Team 10. "Come on, people. Laps, laps, laps. Keep those hands moving. I better not see you miss a single seal in the lineup." Asuma currently had his team running full speed laps around the edge of the training field while making hand seals on the fly. This sounded like something ridiculously easy for Naruto, and it was, even with 2 backpacks full of rocks strapped to his chest and back. "Shikamaru, pick up the pace. You're 3 behind Ino and 10 behind Naruto." They had been doing this for the last 2 hours straight. "I'm not Naruto, Asuma!" Shikamaru uncharacteristically yelled. "Why are you even comparing my lap count to his? He can do this for the rest of the day as long as we stop for lunch. He can outrun you if he had to." "So, tired," Ino huffed as she kept moving. She had fought back the urge to puke not too long ago, so she was cool to keep going as much as it sucked going full speed. Asuma cupped his hands to his mouth and yelled to her. "Stop complaining out loud, you guys! Talking makes you tired faster!" He turned towards Naruto as the boy was about to book it past him again, only the sweat pouring down his face telling Asuma that he was even feeling it. "Yeah, this isn't doing anything for him." He stuck out his arm and stopped Naruto in his tracks. Hold up, you're done. Ino Shikamaru will only have 2 more to do and we can move on. I can keep going, Naruto insisted. Asuma nodded. I know you can. That's why I'm ending it here. Because the point of this was to get you tired and make you keep pushing through it. If I wanted to do that with you, we'd be here all day long and most of the night. So for now, I'll teach you how to add a wind chakra to your weapon. He pulled out his trench knives. It's simple after you've got splitting the leaf down. Just treat the weapon as if it were the leaf itself. Generate your chakra the same way around the blade. Naruto pulled his machete from his waist and began to do what he had been accustomed to doing with his leaf before today. Like with the leaf, he could feel his chakra had reached cutting potential, but seeing as how he couldn't cut metal with just his chakra, it further sharpened the already razor-sharp edge of his weapon. So... Asuma gestured towards the edge of the clearing, where there were trees abundant. Go hack into something that you know you wouldn't have gotten close to cutting through before this. Naruto shrugged and ran towards the nearest tree that wasn't their unofficial team meeting point with a battle cry before jumping at it with a diagonal slash that cleaved cleanly right through the wood. Woohoo! Yeah! Naruto exclaimed happily, celebrating his weapon's newfound cutting prowess by jumping around. He used both hands and started swinging around his machete in a theatrical manner while making whooshing noises with his mouth. All hail Uzumaki Naruto's clear-cutting machete! Fear my high-flying flow! He pointed the machete at Ino and Shikamaru, who stopped to look at him and ran. Fear it! Okay, Ino said, hands on her knees as she took time to catch her breath. Shikamaru, on the other hand, was laying on the ground, not even looking up at Naruto from where he was still gloating to the world about his machete. So what's next, Asuma? He asked the bearded Jonin, who walked over to them. There's only a week left before we head out to the land of iron, Asuma started to say as he grabbed Shikamaru's hand and dragged the groaning boy off the ground. I want to do something together as a team before we go. And right now is as good a time as any while I'm letting you guys come down from the workout. Hearing this, the blonde boy and girl followed behind their sensei. Leaf Hot Springs. Naruto, Shikamaru, and Asuma shared a dip on the male side of the bath, sighing relief while sitting in the hot water. Asuma cupped a hand in front of his mouth and yelled towards the gate separating the 2 sides of the hot spring. How you doing over there, Ino? I'm fine, she yelled back, enjoying this time given to her to just rest up. It's fine since I can still talk to you guys over here. It's great. Being on the women's side and knowing who was on the other side close to the fence made her feel rather safe, as neither Naruto or Shikamaru would be the type to try and peek on her, especially not with Asuma there too. So, do you think we're really ready for the exams, Asuma-sensei? Absolutely, he said, leaning back against the wall of the bath he was in. You know, your new offensive attacks are going to catch tons of enemies off guard if you actually have to fight. Shikamaru has actually been training in depth and managed to get some offense behind him now that doesn't consist of him sneaking up on someone. Whatever, Shikamaru replied in response to the playfully backhanded comment. Troublesome adult. Asuma just smirked at him and kept talking, turning his attention to Naruto, who had gotten a cigarette in the bath with him and was currently partaking in his smoke. And then we've got Manic with Spaz Pans over here. I am not a spaz! Naruto replied heatedly, blowing his smoke into the air. I haven't done anything spazzy and... He started counting on his fingers before speaking again. At least a week. Asuma shook his head in amusement. Well, you having your nose in that book of yours is keeping you occupied. Are you getting anything out of it so far? He asked Naruto in interest, wanting to know how another facet of his students' private studies were going. He didn't know anything about sealing jutsu, so having one of his gettings start learning it was kinda cool, especially if he was teaching himself. Naruto made a tiny hand gesture as he grinned. A little bit. The basics. I'm not really good enough to do anything cool. I'm doing exercises that just amount to me making storage stills. I tried to read further, but I didn't really get what it was talking about. It said something about how just sealing objects was thinking too small. I don't know what that means since the book said you can seal pretty much anything. So why would a sealing object like a house or something be thinking too small? It's a brain teaser, he said, running a hand through his hair. Shikamaru rolled his eyes. That Shiho girl and I told you sealing jutsu was gonna be hard, Naruto. Just don't try skipping ahead and blowing off your arms. We need you in one piece so we can take that test. I'll be ready to roll, don't you worry, Naruto said, slapping some water over at Shikamaru jokingly. Ino spoke from her side of the hot spring. I thought you didn't want to go to the exams in the first place, Shika. What, did Goldie finally kick you into gear with that energy of his? Don't call me Goldie, Naruto said, seething at the name. You're blonde too. Not blonde like you though. Ino responded, and Naruto could just see the smirk on her face through the wall. Goldie. She heard her thumb bounce off the wall and allowed her to laugh. Oh, cheer up. It's a term of endearment. You should be happy. Yours is so nice. Asuma-sensei and Shikamaru aren't so lucky. Asuma's eye twitched in reference to the conversation. Yes, because the names Bum and Smokestack are so endearing, you know. He then noticed Naruto getting out of the hot spring on their side, wrapping a towel around himself to leave and get dressed. Where are you going, Naruto? Naruto looked over his shoulder, cigarette still hanging out of his mouth. I've had enough of soaking in the water. I'm gonna go for a little walk. I won't go too far. Alright, Asuma said, dismissing Naruto to do what he wanted. Sitting in one place, doing nothing was still something that was just out of Naruto's range of possibility. Naruto's walkabout outside the hot springs were just so that he didn't fall asleep while he was in there. How could his team just chill out and relax like that? He was all fired up for the Chunin Exams. He wanted to get rolling again. He was ready for whatever was in store for them, no matter what it was. This exam was a test in more ways than one. It was a test to see where they stood among ninja that were supposed to be on their level. No fighting shinobi that were supposed to be head and shoulders better than them, like Haku. And he wanted his rematch with both Sasuke and Tenten. Sasuke because they never truly got going with their fight. Tenten because he wanted to get his win back to say the very least. And that wasn't even mentioning Tenten's teammates, especially the kid with the white eyes. He knew that there was no way they weren't getting themselves a piece of these Chunin exams as well. He almost felt like seeking Tenten out to brag about the fact that he was going, but the element of surprise appealed to him more. He then heard some light giggling, but he decided to ignore it until he heard it again. He looked around but didn't see anyone. However, once he heard another set of giggles, he growled to himself, thinking someone was messing with him. Chakra echolocation jutsu! Naruto's control of the jutsu at this point was so great, he could walk around blindfolded if he kept letting out constant pulses of the jutsu. He had never done this to test it out, but the way things are going now, he could see up close with his eyes closed and feel things at a distance out of his eye shot. And to his right, behind the shrubs and bushes, he could feel a large living presence. Naruto dropped his cigarette from his mouth and stomped it out under his foot before he walked over through the foliage, and saw someone crouching by the fence, keeping the hot springs away from the outside. What are you doing? Quiet, kid, the man said, not even turning to pay Naruto any mind. Are you trying to get me caught here? He then let out a thoughtful sound. That blonde girl looks like she'll probably wind up being a 10 when the time comes. Something to think about for later, he said to no one in particular. Naruto's face twisted in confusion before he realized what was happening and gave the strange man a deadpan look. Are you really peeking on the women's side of the hot spring? A set of giggles gave him his answer. That's really sad. You know that? The man waved him off. Whatever, kid. Hey, you want to get in on this? He offered. A kid like you needs to learn about the healthy female figure at some point. Now's as good a time as any. Consider it a gift from the magnanimous Lord Jiraiya. Naruto's eyes widened as he fished through the pockets of his windbreaker before pulling out the book that he'd been reading recently. As he read the name of the author on the book, he lowered the book in shock. You're Jiraiya. You're the guy that wrote the book I'm reading? Hearing Naruto almost yell, Jiraiya turned around and stood up to his full height, towering over Naruto as he walked closer. Get real, kid. There's no way a runt like you has read my works. They're for adults only. Naruto gave him a strange look as he held up his sealing jutsu help manual. This is for adults? I know I had to take a test to read this thing, but other than that, there wasn't a restriction. Are you sure? Jiraiya squinted and looked at the book in Naruto's hands. Meanwhile, Naruto scrutinized Jiraiya's appearance. Wild spiky white hair, big tall man, big wooden sandals. Holy crap, this is the guy the old man told me to talk to! Jiraiya's face finally smiled as he recognized the book Naruto had with him. Oh yeah, that thing. I almost forgot that I wrote that. You managed to get into it? Way to go, kid. It's almost like you're my student. So what's your name? Uzumaki Naruto, Naruto told him. And the Hokage told me that you're the guy I needed to ask about a few things. After smiling at having found Naruto so easily, Jiraiya's face turned grave. So, he knew enough about what was going on inside him that he went to Sarutobi Sensei. Man, this was a good timing to meet the kid anyway from the looks of things. He smirked and pointed his thumb at himself. I'll answer any question that you got for me, kid. There's no way I can let an apparent disciple of mine go without knowing things that the Grand Sage Jiraiya can inform him on. Great! Naruto said, getting excited now. Not only did he find the man he needed to see rather effortlessly, it was also the guy that wrote his book. What a great day to be him. And then, the female voice from over the fence started acknowledging their presence. Who's talking out there? There's a hole in the fence. I see orange. Jiraiya and Naruto both paled, knowing their fate if they were to be caught here. We need to get out of here now, kid. Jiraiya hissed in a whisper as he grabbed Naruto and took off running before any women could get dressed and chase them, or worse, knock the fence down and kick the crap out of them. We? Naruto asked indignantly as he found himself tucked under Jiraiya's arm. What do you mean we? I didn't do anything. You were the one peeking. They won't care. Jiraiya yelled as he used the body flicker to cover his movements of leaving the street. Lesson 1. Female anger is an unguided weapon. And just as they disappeared without a trace, a crowd of women wearing towels emerged from the changing room, charging onto the street to search for whoever it was they saw getting looks at them. Damn it! Whoever that was, they're fast. The woman who spoke pointed to the side. Some of you go over to the bridge and search over there. The rest of us will keep going this way and search. Remember, orange. And with that, the angry mob split up and took off. As the sounds of the angry women vanished from the area, Jiraiya's voice whispered, Man, kid, you are strong. Under the bridge, crossing the steamy water of the hot springs, Naruto had his palms and entire body stuck flat to the underside, while Jiraiya held onto him like a leech. Is your entire body stuck to that thing? Yeah, Naruto said, focusing on keeping himself stuck to the bridge with a heavy extra added baggage attached to him. Can you let go now? I think they're gone. Are you sure? Jiraiya asked almost fearfully. He didn't want to get himself beat up today on the word of some kid he'd met not even 5 minutes prior. I don't sense anyone, Naruto assured him. As with the position he was in, he couldn't see through the bridge with his jutsu. He could still sense life though. It's all clear, Jiraiya-sensei. Jiraiya dropped off of Naruto and landed on the surface of the water, barely blinking in surprise when Naruto did the same. Jiraiya-sensei? Naruto pulled out the book and tapped it. Oh, okay, I've got you, kid. They both started walking on the water and jumped back up into the street now that the danger had passed. Naruto. Both Naruto and Jiraiya turned to see Asuma and the other two getting on Team 10 walking towards him, fully dressed like himself. Once Asuma saw Jiraiya, he quickly acknowledged him. It's good to see you, Master Jiraiya. We should have a talk sometime. What's up, Asuma-sensei? Naruto said with a smile. I was just going to talk to Jiraiya-sensei here. I've got some things to ask him about. I don't mind, Asuma said, looking down at Ino and Shikamaru. Well, that's all I have for us to do today. You guys are all dismissed for the day. Shikamaru nodded, however, Ino stood there with an angry look on her face, tapping her foot on the ground as she glared at Naruto. You know, all the commotion just now was from someone wearing orange. You would have to know anyone wearing orange, would you, Naruto? Naruto grabbed his windbreaker. No, I don't. When he could feel enough anger radiating off her to get Shikamaru and Asuma to step away, he spoke more. Oh, this isn't orange. This is Tangelo. See? Tangelo. Ino narrowed her eyes and pointed at them with 2 fingers before pointing back at Naruto and walking away. Shikamaru put a hand on Naruto's shoulder and shook his head. Yeah, you're dead, Naruto. Watch your place for traps when you get home later. That's what I'd do. Later. Asuma waited until his other 2 Genin had left before turning to Jiraiya, who nodded. Jiraiya looked towards Naruto. Hey kid, do you have a place to relax so we can talk? Some of the stuff you're probably going to ask me might be sensitive information. Yeah, sure, Naruto said, gesturing for them to follow him. Let's go. Hokage Monument. Naruto sat down on the head of the 4th Hokage and looked out over the entire village for a moment before turning around to look at both Asuma and Jiraiya, who were standing beside each other with similar looks on their faces. Hey, why are you here, Asuma-sensei? You don't want me to be? The man asked in amusement, getting Naruto to fervently shake his head, fearing that he might have offended him. Calm down, Naruto. I'm just here to help. Who knows, I might be able to help with something that you find out here. Naruto didn't know what that meant, but it didn't matter in the end. He saw Jiraiya take a seat on the ground as well and let off a sigh. It's kind of ironic that you picked this head to sit down on. Naruto grinned at him. Well, the 4th Hokage was the coolest, at least as far as I'm concerned. Whenever I look at this face up here, I don't know, clicks me for some reason. I can't explain why he's my favorite when I personally know Sarutobi GG, but he is. Why'd you agree to do this so easily anyway? And seriously, Asuma-sensei, why are you here? I thought you'd be more inclined to go find that kunai late after we were done like you do sometimes. Asuma sat down on the ground as well, only with more weight behind it in an irritable manner. You guys just love to take shots at that, don't you? You saw me with her once. That you know of. Naruto replied cheekily. He then got serious. So really, what's this about? Because Jiraiya-sensei, you should know me well enough to be okay with me just asking you any kind of question. I expect some kind of fight or something. Jiraiya crossed his arms, wondering how he should start this. Well, the thing is, Naruto, I'm here to tell you something. It's pretty important, and it has to do with the 4th Hokage, which is the reason I'm the one telling you since he was my student. Naruto's eyes widened. No way! I thought the only person that you trained was that Namikaze Minato guy that you talked about sometimes in your book. Jiraiya gave Naruto a dry look. Don't they teach you kids anything at the academy these days? That name is the name of the 4th Hokage. That's him. And I'm here to tell you something that you didn't know. It's actually a major secret that no one's allowed to talk about, and it's directly about you. About me? Naruto asked as he could feel his heart start to beat faster. What was special about him enough for there to be a secret surrounding it? He was just some kid. Even though he found out recently that he was part of a fallen clan, that wasn't good enough reason. He wasn't special yet. That would come when he could prove to others that he was. What about me? What is it? Asuma could see that Jiraiya didn't know how to word things, and for some reason his father Hiruzen wanted the Toad Sage to be the one to tell this. So all he could do at the time was nudge things along. Naruto, tell me what you know about the night the Nine Tails attacked the village. And like a switch was turned, Naruto told them everything that he knew about it. The only topic that Naruto, fresh out of the academy, could recite back to anyone with textbook accuracy, just like they expected him to know. Good job, Naruto. All of those things are absolutely right. But do you know how the Nine Tails was defeated? Naruto squinted his eyes and thought, not quite remembering what was told about how the demon was defeated. I don't know. A really super huge big ass jutsu? Jiraiya shook his head. No? I'm wrong? So wait, I've heard that the Nine Tails could flatten mountains and make tsunamis with swings of his tail. How could anything except a huge jutsu beat that? Sealing jutsu, kid, Jiraiya said, seeing Naruto's eyes widen. You see why it's important now? So, what did he do? Naruto asked, excited that the new thing he was studying was the source of a huge victory, even more inspired by the fact that the 4th Hokage was the one that did it. Is it something that I'm gonna learn? Asuma frowned at that. I hope not, Naruto. What the Hokage used to defeat the Nine Tails took his life. I never want to see or hear about you using anything like that. You're not supposed to die before me, especially like that. Jiraiya nodded in agreement. If Naruto got that good at sealing jutsu, he'd be proud of course, but he was nervous when he found that Minato learned the Reaper Death Seal, and the damn thing would end up killing him in the end. Still, Naruto, I want you to tell me, have you ever felt, I don't know, different? Have you ever felt any kind of strange sensation come from your body? Naruto raised an eyebrow in confusion. Why the hell are you trying to give me the talk? I know what that strange sensation is, Jiraiya-sensei. I'm not stupid. Jiraiya palmed his face as Asuma began laughing at the legendary ninja. Not that strange sensation, you brat. I'm being serious here. I mean, have you ever felt overly angry, scared, helpless? Naruto nodded grimly, remembering that he felt all three of those things when he thought that Haku had killed his team. Remembering that having befriended a spy almost got his team in serious trouble. Can you remember what happened when you did? Naruto started to think, trying to remember what he did when he fought Haku. I caught up to her, and I beat her up pretty bad. I don't know how I got to her so fast, though. Haku had more speed than me. It was like I was seeing red or something. I didn't stop until I was just about to beat her to death. I think I broke a tree. His eyes then widened. Wait, I did! I almost broke a tree with just my body. I couldn't do that before, and I haven't done it since. Jiraiya figured that in the heat of battle, Naruto didn't care much why he was so strong. Just that it happened, and it got him the win that he needed. Naruto, there was no way for Minato to actually kill the Kyuubi. It's not mortal in the sense that you and I are. It's a force of nature more than anything else. All you can do is seal it away. What do you know about sealing? You've read my book. What's the basic concept of it? Naruto looked at his hands as he realized where this was going, hoping that he was wrong about it. Sealing jutsu seals things within another object. That's the basic concept of the art. That was the definition given when Naruto first started the actual manual portion of the book. Now, when were you born, Naruto? Asuma asked him. What's your birthday? October 10th, Naruto said without missing a beat. Same day as the attack. He then let out a sigh. I have been thinking about how weird it was. So, it's sealed inside me? Where? Jiraiya lifted Naruto's shirt. Channel some chakra. Naruto did as instructed, and a spiral mark with 8 prongs around it appeared around his navel. That's where the seal is. Naruto looked down at it with a deep frown on his face. Well, if that isn't a kick in the head. And to think, if I'd actually done more things shirtless, I probably would have caught that. That kind of sucks. Naruto took a few deep breaths, trying to process what he had just been told. I'm having a little trouble wrapping my head around this. Who all knew about this? Asuma pointed behind Naruto at the village they were overlooking. Everyone. Okay, well that's fun for a bunch of different reasons, he said sarcastically. Here's another question. Why am I just now finding this out? He asked, waiting for a damn good excuse. Dad thought it would be better if you didn't know, so you think you were normal. Only the adults knew. They weren't allowed to tell the younger people. No one was even allowed to speak of it. Asuma tried to explain, but it didn't explain why no one told him after he became a ninja. But seeing as how Naruto hadn't compared himself to the demon itself, that book on sealing jutsu was a good thing, and he hadn't asked that, so it hadn't crossed his mind. I was honestly going to tell you, but Dad told me to wait for Master Jiraiya here to return from his mission to tell you himself. You had to find out eventually. There was no way you could walk around forever without knowing. That's irresponsible for tons of reasons. Jiraiya watched Naruto's stone expression. How are you feeling, kid? Naruto was currently running his tongue over his canines as he thought. So, what does this mean? I have the Kyuubi sealed inside of me? What, am I supposed to unseal it or something and do something with it? Because I don't know how to, he said, lifting his shirt up and making a half ram seal as he attempted to unseal the Nine Tails as if it were equipment. No! Both Jiraiya and Asuma said simultaneously. Jiraiya because that was a dangerous route of thinking. Asuma because he didn't know much about how complex sealing like this worked, or if Naruto actually could do something like that. Then what the hell does any of this mean? Naruto yelled back, pointing at his stomach. Everybody knew about this thing. That explains why no one ever hung out with me or anything. Why the adults didn't trust me. Why nobody liked me before they ever even knew me. Tell me what the fucking point was. Naruto yelled as he jumped to his feet. Why me? Why was it me? Did he just grab the first orphan from the attack he could find and stick the Nine Tails in me? Asuma let him get his anger out, as did Jiraiya. He was still just a kid. How else was he supposed to respond finding these things out? He had questions that Asuma couldn't answer. Why was it him? Jiraiya let Naruto pace around angrily for a few more moments before speaking. The fourth Hokage believed that you could hold that power back. He was right, since you've done a fantastic job so far. Naruto whipped around towards Jiraiya and narrowed his eyes. Why? He nearly hissed out. Why did he know that? How did he know that? What made him so damn sure that I could do it? I was just some random baby. And he was, since no one seemed to know about his clan rules. Being angry at something he had no original control over and no actual person to vent on just wasn't Naruto's nature. What had happened, happened. It was done to save the village, and in the end, it had saved him too. If there was no one else, then that's all there was to it. Nothing had changed from the 2 hours prior when he didn't know, except now, he had more things to think about. Naruto lay down completely on the cool stone that made up the head of the 4th Hokage on the Hokage monument, looking up at the sky. After a while, he let out what seemed to be his millionth sigh of the day. So, what does this mean exactly? Nothing, Asuma said firmly. This doesn't mean a single thing. Absolutely nothing has changed now that you know these things, Naruto. Jiraiya cut in at this point. I'm telling you this now because you're a shinobi. You can either embrace this part of you that's been there since the beginning, or you can try to ignore it. But something that would happen with the Kyuubi before might happen again one day. Tell me how you felt when you fought this Haku person. Naruto's eyes shut in the light of the blazing sun in the sky. Like I wanted to kill her. That hurting her was the only thing that mattered, the way she hurt me and my team. I hated feeling like that, but I tried to just forget about it and take the basic lesson from it. Jiraiya nodded. That was the influence of the Nine Tails chakra. Have you ever felt so angry that killing someone was the first thing on your mind prior to this? Naruto sat up and shook his head. The angrier you get, the more influence the Nine Tails can have over your emotions. If you just ignore it, then it can use its chakra to turn you into something savage. That time your anger was directed. The more power you feel flowing through you, the harder it will be to maintain control. You may attack those close to you. Man, Naruto said, looking between the two elder ninja there with him. What a day! I really didn't see this coming at all. I think I need to go home and think about this for a while. He looked over at Asuma. Do I have to tell Ino and Shikamaru? Asuma shook his head. I told you, finding this out doesn't change anything. You don't have to tell them if you don't want to. It's your own secret, and everyone has something that they keep to themselves. It's your call in the end. Naruto nodded with a small smile and stood up as he walked towards the edge of the cliff. Are you gonna be alright, Naruto? Yeah, I'll be fine. Naruto replied as he got to the end of the forest's head. I'm gonna go head on home, Asuma-sensei. I guess I'll see you around too, Jiraiya-sensei. With that, Naruto started walking down the face of the statue. Man, this would have been useful to know how to do right before I graduated. Once it was clear that Naruto was gone, Asuma turned towards Jiraiya as the two men stood up. Kid never even asked those questions he wanted to ask you, he said in an offhanded manner. So what are you planning to do now? Jiraiya looked at the edge of the cliff where Naruto had started walking down. Well, I'd like to have a hand in training Naruto. There are a few things that I can teach him that I think Minato would have wanted me to let him in on. And he technically is my student if he's reading that book of his. He noticed Asuma's frown. Hey, I'm not gonna take your student away from you, Asuma. I just think it would be nice for me to teach him some things. I won't if you don't want me to. It's a week until you're supposed to take the kids to the land of iron, right? Yeah, Asuma said, grabbing a cigarette and placing it in his mouth. I've got them going into the Chunin Exams. They're damn good. They'll clean up for sure. Jiraiya made a noise signifying that he understood. You know, maybe I'll head on up to see once they reach the final stage, if they get that far. It's gonna be some great gigantic affair. Every single hidden village is supposed to have a stake in this one. Sounds like it's gonna be a total clusterfuck. Entertaining to say the least. He said with a grin. Asuma returned the grin once he thought about it. You know that all of that just means one thing. That it's time to show off. With Naruto. Naruto was taking a walk through one of the forest areas that made it the leaf's namesake. He stared at his hand as he walked along. He trusted me with it. And even if that was a total load of crap, what am I gonna do? Just let it get to me? I've gotten through tougher things than this. This isn't even a setback. He stopped talking as he noticed a rock following him. A square rock with eye holes in the front. The entire time he'd been walking, he'd been trying to burn chakra by putting wind chakra into his hands for practice. However, he hadn't been thinking of this. With his skills with the sticky fist, and with as much time as he'd spent using wind chakra to split leaves, building it and holding it had become something of a second nature to him. Smirking to himself, Naruto stopped walking, getting the rock to stop as well. Naruto performed a theatrical gesture that ended with him slamming the palms of his hands on the tree, both of them linked by the wrist with one hand facing up and the other down, subconsciously sticking it there. You know, there's one thing I hate. Randomly placed rocks. Naruto stopped the flow of chakra to his hand and turned around, but his hand momentarily stuck fast to the tree. Once he turned around and pulled his hand free, the tree inexplicably imploded in an area the size of his hands, felling it as it had been destroyed clean through. Naruto was so surprised by this turn of events that he didn't even register the fireworks that came from the rock that had been following him, nor did he pay any attention to the kids that came from the rock until one of them spoke. Wow, boss, that was so cool! Naruto turned to see Konohamaru with two other kids. One was a girl with orange hair tied in two very large pigtails and a red blush on her face. The other was a boy with brown hair and glasses and a drip of snot hanging out of his nose. All the children were wearing goggles, all similar in design to Naruto's that he currently had on his head. See, Moegi, Udon, I told you guys he was a super strong ninja, didn't I? Naruto blinked and looked at the tree. How the hell did I do that? Can I do it again? That was what he thought. On the outside, his self-confidence needed a little pick-me-up, and this was as good a reason as any for an ego trip. Yeah, I guess I am, huh? How'd you guys like that? The girl, Moegi, ran up to the fallen tree and looked at the destroyed trunk. What do you call that move, boss? So now the girl was calling him that too? That was fine with him. And now we need to come up with a name for it? Well, it technically was his jutsu, even if he'd be hard-pressed to do it again if he had to right then. Call it... He stopped talking to think. He didn't want to be like Iruka and come up with a jutsu only to have it saddled with a shitty name. This needed to be catchy. Call it Giga Impact. It's pretty badass, isn't it? Meh, he could claim it if he wanted to. He knew what happened. Now he just needed to recreate it, or better yet, get his clones to recreate it. The boy, Udon, walked up to him with Konohamaru and sniffed before addressing him. Wow, that looked really strong. Naruto laughed and rubbed the area between his nose and mouth with his finger. Well, it had to be strong, right? I'm going to the Chunin Exams next week in the Land of Iron, aren't I? If I'm going to get promoted, then I've got to be on my game. As the kids stood wowed and started to beg him to play ninja with them, willing to actually play with a real ninja, Naruto smiled to himself as he thought, man, I know whatever all this Nine-Tails stuff brings, I can handle it. I don't know too much about it, and I still don't know why it was me. There are a lot of things I don't know. And I don't know if I'm gonna look at a few things the same way again. But if the fourth Hokage really believed in me the way Konohamaru seems to believe in me without knowing much about me at all, I'm not gonna let either of them down. That evening, Naruto's apartment. As Naruto walked into his apartment, he blinked as he saw the Hokage sitting in his living room. Hokage Gigi? How did you? Oh, never mind. You're the Hokage. Duh. He said to himself as he walked in and shut the door behind him. How are things, Naruto-kun? The old man asked as he looked out Naruto's window at the Hokage monument, of which Naruto had a clear view of from here. I know that you know of your burden by now. How do you feel? Do you have anything to ask me? Naruto shook his head and held his stomach. No, I think I've got it. The Nine Tails is in me. I can somehow use this chakra or something or another. Everyone knew about it. I didn't. He gave the Hokage a wry look. I'm kind of upset about that, Gigi. I'd imagine that you would be, Naruto. Hiruzen said as he turned around to look at the young Genin, a far-going look in his eye. The Anbu with me when I came across you after the Nine Tails sitting inside of you were quick to spread the word of what happened to the others, and news spread like wildfire. All I could do at that point was keep your peers from finding out in the future without your wishing by my decree. He turned towards the window again and continued to speak. Naruto, remember this. A person is smart. A person is very intelligent. But people are stupid. If people were allowed to separately make their own opinions on you by themselves, then things may have been better. Maybe. But when people talk about something that puts them at unease, then mob rule takes over. And that unease turns to fear or hatred. Naruto frowned and spoke up. And they didn't bother trying to see me for me, just for what they knew I had inside me. Hiruzen nodded. That's why the few people that gave you a chance and forged relationships with you did so, because they were able to get their own opinions of you away from the populace. And you've handled the treatment of neglect for most of the village magnificently. I'm proud of you every day. Never more so than now after you found the truth. Naruto walked over to Hiruzen and looked out the window with him. Well, things are getting better. Iruka-sensei was always there for me like Asuma-sensei is now. Shikamaru and Ino are cool. Tenten helped me out a lot when I first started out. Kakashi-sensei is weird, but I like him too. Choji's cool to hang out with. Sasuke-teme, I like punching in the face. And Jiraiya-sensei is weird, but I like to think that he's like me. Konohamaru and his friends really like me because for some reason they think I'm the greatest. And who am I to crush a kid's hopes and dreams? Hiruzen chuckled at that bit, as did Naruto. I don't know where we are though, Gigi, since you didn't trust me enough to tell me this sooner. I could have handled it. Maybe, Hiruzen replied. But the night you came closer to finding out, and the way you are now are two very different Narutos. How do you think you would have handled it if you found out of the night you were getting exam? Because Mizuki was about to tell you if he didn't cut him off from doing so. Naruto gulped. He knew that he wasn't in the best state of mind that night. If he had found out that night, then there might have been a 5-star freakout on the horizon. Someone might have gotten really hurt. Someone other than Mizuki. Hiruzen could see Naruto thinking about that. And even if I had told you myself, after that night and all that happened, all that you heard Mizuki say, would you have taken it nearly as well as you have today? A smile came over the elderly man's face. I've always expected great things out of you, Naruto, and you continue to deliver on that front. Naruto grinned, despite having the day he'd been having. Old man, you haven't seen anything yet. I haven't even gotten close to cutting loose. Just wait until the Chunin Exams. I'm looking forward to it, Hiruzen said, putting a hand on Naruto's shoulder. If you need anything in the future, I want you to feel free to come to me or Asuma. As close as you are to us in Konohamaru, at this point you're a full-fledged friend of the clan. You've got it, Hokage Gigi, Naruto said, as he stared at the mountains that had his attention since he had been a child. 1 week later, Team 10 training field. Asuma stood in front of his 3 seated students as they looked up at him intently. I'm glad you all decided to show up today, and none of you got cold feet. At that, all eyes drifted over to Shikamaru, who muttered a quiet, troublesome. It's been 5 crazy months, huh? Asuma said, thinking back on his time with his team. And in just a few days, we'll see just how you guys stack up in the grand scheme of things. Ino's eyes shone at the prospect of the challenge lying ahead of them. I'm ready for it, Asuma-sensei. Team 10's the best. She put her hands on her hips and flipped her hair back haughtily. Naturally, you should know that. You did train us after all. That I did, Asuma said in amusement. Naruto stood up next, dusting off the back of his shorts. Do you think that after all the stuff I've been finding out lately, I'm gonna be anything other than 100% on doing this? Let's get this show on the road already, he exclaimed. Shikamaru stood up as well, shoving his hands in the pockets of his pants as if he didn't care. Someone has to make sure these two get through this thing in one piece, and as troublesome as it seems. He took a hand from his pocket and pointed at himself. That someone just happens to be me. Besides, Mom would bitch me out for the next 6 months if I didn't go and do this. So, let's get this done, he said, putting his hand out, having it quickly covered by the other 2 Genin on his team. Are we all set? Absolutely, Ino said. Naruto grinned widely and nodded. Let's go kick some international ass. Asuma smiled and clapped. Now, kids. We still have to get to the convoy we can all head out on with the other teams. We don't want to be caught behind and have to travel all the way to the land of iron alone. It was finally time to get underway. For better or worse, the Chunin Exams are here. Ready or not. End of chapter 16. Bonus, Jutsu list. Giga Impact. B rank ninjutsu. Offensive. This jutsu requires the user to be able to manipulate wind element chakra and also have advanced skill with the tree walk exercise, enough that they can use it on other parts of their bodies nearly flawlessly. The user will stick their hands to the target with wind chakra and will then suddenly and quickly twist and yank their hands away, still keeping the pull active. This will create a vacuum inside the target that will cause intense internal damage. Before we go, quick PSA. There is more bonus to chapter 16. It's actually a part of the "Hey, you're not a genius, who cares? Read this and you won't suck at ceiling jutsu" by Jiraiya book. Kenshi actually writes out the entire test that the story keeps referencing. A lot of the questions and the answers are very interesting, and I encourage you to read them by yourself. The only reason I'm not doing so here is because it's pretty much as long as half a chapter itself.